Yeah, kid! Welcome everybody back to another episode of the Handsome Homebuyer podcast. And this episode is a little bit more of like the half-blind Handsome Homebuyer because his hat's a little bit too big. But I'm here repping the man, the myth, the construction legacy legend. I'm going to take it back for a minute. You know who's also the man, the myth, the legend, but in the permit space? Captain Permit. 516-513-8838. You need plans, you need permits, you got violations. Investors, you should never buy a house to flip if you haven't called the captain. We are trying to bail people out left and right. People having to rip finished basements out because ceilings don't have the adequate height. They're taking money off because extensions don't have permits. If you call the captain, you know up front, know before you go, 516-513-8838. I am crushing the vagina of life right now in the commercial real estate development world. 5-family apartment building, lockdown, bang. Huge 50,000 square foot lot. Just got the accepted offer. Contracts going out. The other major, massive development deal, 3 acres we're talking about. Still can't let the cat out of the bag. The contracts are in the air. When I have them, see them, smell them, and I know it's real, you guys will know it's real. All right, I think that's enough shameless plugs. Oh, you have a house that smells like cat pee, land, anything. You know I'm low maintenance. You know I want to buy it. 516-777 sold. All right. So I'm not going to lie. Today's guest, when he walked in, made me feel a little bit inadequate. Because he rolls in like the dope gear, Under Armour hat, repping the business. And I'm like, I felt a little bit inadequate. I'm like, why aren't I that guy? Why don't I have dope-ass Under Armour, flexible, beautiful, breathable, feels amazing on my head right now, Handsome Homebuyer shit? Very impressive young man. I met him not that long ago. Ben Marcan, good buddy of ours, introduced ourselves. He comes from a pedigree of construction, legacy, and legend. But at the same time, he is one of the hungriest, business-savvy young people that I know, which is very rare. Because when you come from a certain level of success, typically, in my opinion, it's hard to have that fire. And this guy has fire coming out of every orifice of his body. He's into big industrial development. He's an investor. He has a co-working space that he's launching, a brokerage that he's launching. I mean, the sky's the limit. I can't wait to hear all about it. Devin KULKA.
Thank you.
KULKA Construction.
I appreciate it.
How was the intro, bro?
Amazing. Always love it.
Did you ever have an intro like that?
No, nice. That's the best. That's the best.
Oh shit, I forgot to. Oh yeah, by the way, I'm Handsome Homebuyer, Captain Permit, and who?
El Judío Maravilloso.
I like it.
Dude, you're back on point, bro.
I like it.
You dropped the ball on me a couple times in the last couple of weeks, but you're back.
Yeah, I think so.
That's Maddie in the back, dude. Where do I want to begin with you?
So much.
I feel like you're doing everything. You're taking over the world, and the awesome part is you're only 30.
That's right.
So, I guess we're gonna go back and forth. The first thing I want to know is, bro, where does the fire come from? I love it. Like, what gets you? Like, you are fired up, dude. I feel it coming across the table. That's why I'm so amped up. I feed off it. So, you got to tell me where the fire comes from.
I think several things. Like you said, my father has started something that's great, and I'm a big person in being myself and like proving myself. So I'm out to prove the world that I'm not Jack's son. I'm Devin KULKA.
Interesting.
He gave me a foundation, and if I don't build on that, I'm a failure. I guess the other thing is just
that's in your mind.
That's
basically.
in my mind.
Where did that did you get that from him, or do you just kind of feel like, he was very encouraging, but at the same time you have so much to live up to, you feel like if you don't top what he's done, you're a failure in your own mind. Are you putting that stress on yourself?
Yeah. And I think there's been some people that in the beginning doubted me, and they're not in my life, and they're not in the business, and actually next to my computer I have one of them message me on Facebook, you'll never be your father, you'll never amount to what he did, good luck.
Wow.
And I have that right next to my computer. One, because I don't want to be my father. He's the best. I love him, and he's grown a tremendous business. I'm going to be somebody different. And two, when I do make it, in my eyes, Like, I don't have to worry about those people in my life.
I mean, that guy's a raging asshole, but don't you love people like that?
I love it. It
Like,
motivates the shit out of me.
I have a bunch of those people that like stem back from like first grade, and I like like my first grade teacher's like, you gotta leave the kid back. He can't spell. His grammar sucks. I'm like, listen, I still can't spell. My grammar still sucks. But like, I'm taking over the goddamn real estate world. So like, I don't want to hear it. It doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, by the time you get to the point where you're already there, I feel like, but by the time you feel you're at the point where you're like, fuck this guy, you're not even gonna care.
No, I'm definitely not going to care. I think I just keep it there just to look at every once in a while. And I smile. It puts a smile on my face. Like, I'm a chip on the shoulder type of guy. I'm a very competitive person. Sports my whole life. Like, I want to win. I want to be the best. And to be the best, you gotta work the hardest and grind. So, you know this.
Nah, listen, I love that stuff. Anything that I can, like, put into the machine that feeds the fire, like, when I'm working at like 2 a.m, or like when I leave here to go to the gym at like 12 o'clock at night and you gotta like push it out, like I feed off of that shit. Like it plays in my mind like a recording.
And it feels great. Like when you're leaving the office at 3 a.m. on a Tuesday and there's nobody driving around and everybody else is home sleeping, you know you're better than somebody right then.
Exactly.
You're growing yourself. You're doing everything you can in that moment. So.
And that's what I think people don't realize. And I think what a lot of people also don't realize is people are really, I'm guilty of this thing because people are like, oh, you had a business with your father. I'm like, listen, my father gave me a small business loan, and I went into business. Yeah, I was very blessed to have my parents. I was very blessed to have that opportunity. But like, just because you have that opportunity or just because you are born into money, it's easier in a way, but it's not. Like, you can lose all that shit in a minute. Like, I know of generations where the parents have made tons of money from nothing, and it will be gone in one generation.
It happens all the time. It happens all the time, and I'm out to prove that I'm not going to be that person who crashes and burns the empire. Like, this shit's not easy. And for me, in particular, it happened overnight. I was an assistant super on a $150 million project we were doing, and that night, out of nowhere, my father went to the hospital with an infection in his spine.
Okay.
2 days later, he had a stroke. I went from assistant super to running the show.
Wow. How old are you?
I was 25.
Wow.
26. And then it just got tougher from there. I'm now learning the business. I'm finishing a $150 million project. I'm finishing a $25 million project. I'm finishing a $7 million project. The people that he trusted his whole life for 15, 20 years, they weren't doing right by him. Yeah. And I had to get rid of people for some unethical things and kind of, bring in my own people. And it was, I was dealing with a father that almost, I didn't know if he was going to live. He wasn't eating. He wasn't talking.
Jesus. Did they did they get it right away, or did they not get it right away?
He just kept having pain. He went in and they were like, you need to go under right now. You have a bad infection in your spine. I think at his age, and
how old was he?
He was like 70.
Oh, really? How old is he now?
He's 76.
Wow. Okay.
So I think at his age, the stress of the surgery probably resulted in the brain bleed afterwards, and he's recovered fully from all of that, which is God bless. But it was a crazy hectic year and a half, and I think after that year and a half, it was, I'm gonna focus fully on letting people know that KULKA isn't just Jack KULKA, that there's Devin KULKA, but more importantly, we're a business. So it was like,
give it to me.
Let me get out there. Let me meet everybody in the world. Let them know that we've got another 40 years ahead of us, and just market, branding. We went from KULKA Construction to the KULKA Group. We went from a construction earthy brown to this slick, black and white. And I think now my father tells me everywhere he goes, they're like, oh, I met Devin. I know Devin. So I think I've proven myself. I think I'm here to stay. I know I'm here to stay, and I think people see that.
So there's so much shit I got to ask you now, because this really hits home for me, because I had a similar situation in business where my father didn't have a health issue, but we got into some trouble in business that I was unaware of because I was removed from like running the finances and things of the business. And then it was completely dumped in my lap in a catastrophic way, like similar but not similar to yours. When I look back on that, and coincidentally I was 30 at the time. When I look back on it, I'm so grateful for that moment because that changed my life. Like that turned me into a man.
Oh, hell yeah.
Like I meet people that are older in the business, whose fathers were in the business, you know, who are in their like late 30s, and they're still kind of like under their father's like thumb or control to a certain extent. And I say to them, like, what I wish for you is that you take some risks, that you find your independence, that you find your own way, because otherwise they never do. Like they can't, like before that, I would propose things to my father. I'd want to make moves, and you know he didn't like them not because he was negative or bad, but because that reality and his reality and his time frame when he grew up was different than our reality and our time frame. So I want to know that, and then secondly, I want to know if there's been like the transition from your father, who's very dominant, very strong man, to like passing the torch is typically not like oh, here you go, son. It's like here you go, but kind of thing. I know it was for me, and it continues to be on a daily basis. So I want to know also how that transition was and is for you.
So first part is, you know, that moment where you're a man. You're gonna fail, or you're gonna be a man. You got to step up to the plate. It's a sink or swim time, and that's where you got to roll the sleeves up and get it done. There's no excuses. You know, okay, there's people in the business that weren't doing right. Great, move on from that. Okay, your father's in the hospital. All right, great, go visit him every night, but do whatever you have to do to survive. That was like we're gonna survive this right now. We're gonna finish the projects we have and finish them strong, and we did. You know, that $150 million project, that company went public right after we finished a few months later, and they're massive. They're doing another expansion. It was great. But yes, that's when, you know, people prove themselves. It was. I think I grew up very, very fast. Very fast.
At that moment. And before, I can only speak for myself where it wasn't that I wasn't hardworking, but still I was kind of like in this little protective bubble. All of a sudden you're naked, like you're out there. And there's like periods of like extreme brain damage. Like you're just like, holy shit, I can't believe we're dealing with this. But ultimately it makes you so much stronger when you come out.
I worked hard before that, but it was working for other people, working for my super who, you know, I still look up to and now works under me, working for my father and kind of just being part of the business. Now, my decisions affect everybody. Yeah. My decisions make sure that all my employees' families are fed. Everything I do, it has an effect on everybody around me, and it's a lot of responsibility. But, you know, they say it's lonely up top. Sometimes it is, but I know that we're a family business with a family atmosphere, and I could trust anybody that I work with all the time. And I love that support system. They support me, I support them, and we're killing it.
Yeah, man, I see it, bro. And I guess there's two kinds of people. There's the people that want the ball with 3 seconds left in the game, and there's people that aren't. Like, you want the ball.
I want the ball.
I want the ball. Like, give me the ball.
Give me the ball.
I'm in the pain.
And it's not because I want to be that guy and get the publicity, but it's because I know I can get this shit done.
Because you're not a flashy guy, dude.
No.
Like, you're not. You could be a flashy guy, but you're not. You're not a flashy guy. Like, we're here, normal, drive a pickup truck. Like, you know, you're here because you love what you do. You build and create shit.
I love it.
So, talk a little bit about the transition of power. Was it easy? Was it not? Is it still like an ongoing thing?
So, anybody who knows my father knows he's a very strong personality. I think if it didn't go down the way it did, it might have been a little harder. Do we have some confrontation at times? Yes, but rarely. I think he kind of came back afterwards and was mind blown. Like, holy shit, you did a really good job, probably better than I would have.
How long from the time like the surgery happened to when he actually like returned?
I would say good 10 months.
So I mean that's not a long period of time. Like you sprung into action and just
it was go. It was immediate, like, and like I said, support system. There was people in my life that, you know, even not internally, externally, that helped me. You know, very successful business people that I sit with and bounce things off of, and, you know, want me to succeed. And to this day, you know, it's important to have those people in your life.
No, of course. Yeah, bro. No, for all the bullshit, man, for all like the smoke and Instagram mirrors, like nobody got anywhere really hardcore alone. It doesn't matter.
Never.
Like business and life is a team sport.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody rises to greatness overnight without busting their ass on their own. It doesn't happen. So it's funny to me when people try to take other people's successes away out of jealousy because they're like, oh, well, he got an inheritance, or he grew up here, or he got a loan, and I can't do that. But like, listen, anything is possible, man.
Anything's possible. Have as many friends as you can, have as many people that you can do business with. I don't see anybody as competition. You know, like, I'm very competitive and I want to be the best, but at the same time, we can be the best together.
Yeah.
You know, like, let's grow together.
Exactly. Give me, just for the people at home that aren't familiar with, I guess, the build up to the point where you've taken over, kind of give like a little bit of like a 5-minute backdrop on your father, what he started and what he did over his 40 plus year career.
So my father's a PE. He was an electrical engineer. He worked in his day job for one day and quit and said, this is not for me. I can't sit in a cubicle drafting plans, looking at plans, and he ended up working for somebody he still respects, in a company he still respects, and a competitor of ours on Long Island somewhat, the Marcus Group. And he worked for Max Marcus. Worked there for several years, ended up wanting to start his own thing, told Max, hey, I'm thinking of starting my own thing, and he said, great, here's your first 5 leads. We can't take on the work right now. I want you to call these people.
Wow.
He called all 5 of those people, landed all 5 of those jobs.
Wow.
And was off to the races. So, Marcus Group, Max Marcus.
In a general contractor capacity,
In
right?
a general contractor capacity. To this day, I still see Sloan Marcus around. She's amazing. Can't say enough good things about them. So he was a super who now was starting his general contracting company.
He was a super for a day.
Well, he was the electrical engineer for the day. Then he was a super for Marcus for a few years.
Okay.
Then he started the GC work.
Nice.
But very quickly he saw that, there's a better way to doing these. These GCs out here are making crazy margins and are kind of ripping off property owners and developers right now.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start this thing called construction management, and I'm going to do it a little differently. Typically, in the past, construction managers go hire a GC and just manage the whole project. He started the construction management where we're replacing the general contractor, and we're doing everything the general contractor does. We're just not holding the contracts.
Why did they used to? I mean, the way your father is doing it makes perfect sense to me. Like, why would you have that extra layer of fat that really? Did they really do anything?
Just the way business was, and people were used to it. He used to tell me all the time, I started construction management on Long Island, and I was like, okay, Dad, yeah, another one of your stories. I'm going through boxes one day, I find this article, a new method of construction, the KULKA method, construction manager. I'll send it to you when I get
That's
back.
dope, yeah.
It's on the wall.
1986.
Seriously, it's on the wall in my conference room because, like, I'm proud of him.
That's fucking dope. You should be.
Cool. It's cool.
It's cool that you have that kind of relationship and you have that kind of respect for. That's freaking nuts. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So then he gets the 5 jobs and he's off and running, and then
he gets the 5 jobs. He's off and running, and he sees this big piece of land in Hauppauge that's kind of just like sitting there on the LIE. Like, what are we gonna do with this? And he had a major role in creating the Hauppauge Industrial Park, which today is the 2nd largest industrial park behind Silicon Valley. People don't know that.
Shit, I
we
did
have
not
the
know that.
2nd largest industrial park on Long Island in Hauppauge, behind Silicon Valley in the country. This is a huge economic driver for the entire region, and he also started the Hauppauge Industrial Association. And I was
Tell people this story, because this is dope, man. This is like real, like, FU, kick ass, kind of like get it done.
So they lost power throughout Long Island, and he was like, "There's a ton of business here."
When was this?
This was early '80s.
Okay.
And there's a ton of business here. That area was one of the last areas to get their power turned on. So he's like, "I'm gonna start this civic group and make some noise and let them know this was not acceptable." So he started this civic group to probably piss off whoever was controlling the power at that time, whether it was LIPA or Loco, and it ended up, now it's probably the largest business-to-business networking group on Long Island.
Nice.
So
what was the end result, though? Did they get generators in there? Are they catered to now going forward? If something like that happens, like, they just have a lot of political clout now?
He's still a board member. He'll be a board member for the rest of his life. He's a lifetime member, and he's on the committee for energy and infrastructure. And the park is pretty. If anything happens, they'll be fine. There's
what I don't know a lot about the park. This is like my own kind of curiosity, and you may not even know the answers to this. How's the park doing as far as like occupancy? Like, I feel like I've seen a couple of big sales recently, like big, because industrial is everything right now.
Industrial is everything. The park is doing incredible. It really, the amount of revenue the park brings in through all of the businesses, it's crazy. The 55,000 employees that are working in that area, it's just it's definitely booming in the park, and it's only going to get better. So Suffolk County hired James Lima Planning and Regional Plan Association, two groups, to come up with a master plan for the industrial park. That was just presented to the public probably a month ago, and it's very cool stuff. The park's definitely gonna get a facelift soon.
Nice.
And we're gonna do some bigger things there.
What do you see on, so again, this stuff just pops in my mind as we go through this. So the industrial sector, huge right now, right? I mean, you build everything now, but industrial was your bread and butter.
Yes.
Are you building, like, so from what I can see as far as like the rental numbers go, it's hard to make those deals work. Like, it seems to be hard to build industrial new to then rent it, but there's a lot of like owner-occ purchases, or I'm asking builds, because these guys are being forced out of the boroughs because they're selling their piece, or the landlord's selling the piece in Brooklyn or Queens, where they're building like some crazy ass skyscraper. And now where do they go? They go either to Jersey or they come to Long Island.
And we do see a lot of owner-occupied buildings. We see renovations for those large those guys who owns property everywhere. They want to attract a tenant. Maybe a tenant just left. And then, those developers that have the tenant lined up for the space and just need to build it. Very rarely, like you said, we'll see somebody just build a spec industrial building and then hope a tenant comes. But it's happening. It's right there on Adams and New Highway. Jerry Wolkoff, he's one of the best in the business. He's building a massive spec industrial building, and he knows he's going to fill it. He knows,
Most of this stuff is out in Suffolk. There's not a lot of this stuff in Nassau, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's we had a big part in the Port Washington Industrial Park. They had the Paul Corporation over there, Kiss Ivy over there. There's a small park over there. We've done a lot, but industrial is only going to get bigger. The more distribution that's going to happen through online sales, the more we're going to need it.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. And I've actually heard, I've been reading some articles lately that they're like, the economy could potentially stall due to the fact that there's not enough 2,000 to 3,000 square foot industrial units. So then I start thinking, I'm like, let's start building industrial. But I'm like, I know Devin KULKA. This is a no-brainer. But then I start looking at the numbers, and I'm like, I don't know if the numbers are there yet. I think the taxes are really, really messing it up out here. Because you're at, like, let's say $12 to $16 a square foot modified gross, which to those of you who don't know means that the landlord pays the taxes. It's not a triple net setup. It's it's not there yet. Because, I mean, it's not cheap to build anything now, right? Especially tariffs going up. Like, how is that stuff affecting you guys? Material prices are through the freaking roof.
It's tough. New York is tough. It's the greatest place in the world, and I wouldn't want to live anywhere else, but they're not making it easy for us, and they're actually, I don't want to get too much into this, they're working on making it harder, and a lot of the projects we work on, and let's just I'm going to talk about one specific project we did for a great client in the Hopog Industrial Park. That client distributes cosmetics, okay? At the end of that project, I asked them if you had to pay 30 to 40% more in your labor across the board, would you have done this project? Would you have moved here and renovated this huge building? He said, no, I that would have took me over budget. Well, he was able to do this because he got IDA tax incentives.
Yeah.
Okay? And there are people that are trying to push anybody who is getting an IDA tax incentive so that their project can come to fruition will have to use prevailing wage rates across the board. Now, I have nothing against prevailing wage rates, nothing against the unions. I grew up in a very blue-collar city where all of my friends, I would say all but two, are working with their hands and are working in unions or non-unions, so I have nothing against them, but it's so hard to do business here that these projects won't happen.
And that's the thing, I don't think the politicians really like understand that. It's like all about like votes and people want, people want shit for free and this and that, but like you can't do that. We as builders and developers, we're not taking advantage of anybody. Like we're providing I had, since the market is changing and my business model is changing, we laid off like half the people that do our construction work in-house because the model is changing and we don't need it. And it was a horrible thing because a lot of those guys at day one, I felt responsible like you did. Like I feel responsible for them. But there was a point in time we were really humming like a year, 2 years ago, doing like 70, 80, 90 houses a year. My foreman turns to me and he's like, yo, we support like 300 people. He's like, think about it. You employ 25 people, and then you have the subcontractors and their employees and their families and all this shit. And if you don't allow developers to do what they do, yeah, we're going to make money, but like we're also taking the risk and working until 3 o'clock in the morning. Everyone is going to suffer. Like they just don't get it. And I saw that email that you put out, and I was like, yeah, like. Because, I mean, something's got to be done, man.
It's a trickle-down effect, and it's going to affect everybody from the mom-and-pop pizza shop because people are going to be laid off and they're not going to be able to go there or to the developer who just is going to go elsewhere. They're going to go build in Nashville, in Austin, in all of these booming markets. I'm curious to know your opinion just on the overall economy in general. So, like, my opinion on the economy is, like, I've seen it slipping since last February, and people are like, oh, everything's great. And I'm like, listen, everything isn't great. Like when I have cash tenants who are now losing their jobs and certain people are getting laid off. I have to lay off people. I'm talking to my foreman who's out in the field, like how many guys are calling you for jobs? Tons of guys are calling for jobs. Like we're like really on the ground floor, and just with the trade wars and everything that's going, like I don't see it going well. I don't think it's going to be like a fall off the cliff 2007, 2008, but I've always kind of felt that it's going to be like a slow grind down to like, how did we get here? Because people just can't afford to live here, and there's just not enough work with all the bullshit. It's tough to live here. It's expensive to live here. I believe there's going to be a slight correction soon.
Yeah.
I think some areas of business are already seeing it. I think that single family home area
north of 550
it's seeing that for sure. For sure. You go out to the Hamptons and there's a ton of inventory on the market out there that are just sitting there. I think the commercial world is it's gonna see it soon, 2 years maybe. but right now things are great. You got to think of these projects
Are planned years out.
planned 2, 3, 4 years ago and are now coming to fruition. And the same thing that the projects that are happening now, they're going to come to fruition in a year or two. And I think we'll feel it a little bit, but so like this right now, and nothing's stopping me. That I'm planning for it. I'm ready for it, but I'm not scared.
Plus, you're also into so many different things. So, I mean, you have the construction aspect, and real quick, I want to touch on that. I know some stuff's top secret, you can't talk about, but like, what are you like actively working on right now? So, like, people understand that like KULKA's not just industrial. KULKA's like, if you can dream it, we can build it.
So, we've built everything from restaurants to catering halls. Your largest catering halls on Long Island, a lot of them we built. Hotels, we've done it right now. We are working on a 4-story office building, 4 stories above grade, 1 story below grade. We're working on 2 firehouses, both out east. Not typically what we do in the public sector, but love doing it, and it's
that's pretty awesome.
Great. Yeah. We are working on a 2-phase, 370,000 square foot pharmaceutical building. We're working on a private day school in Queens, and then that's construction management. We're working on daily right now. There's some other projects in the future that we're working with our clients to get going. Car dealership in Comac. So we're always pushing.
Do people bring you in from at the concept phase of I may or may not build this for like just to play an advisory role?
They should.
I mean, I really think they should.
They should. Sometimes it's like, here's the plans, go put together a proposal, and I'll sometimes even say no to that. Like, no problem. That's not for us. You're really just looking for the down and dirty cheapest way to get this build, and there's probably all types of holes in these drawings, so I don't want to waste my time, but we'll do those also. But get me involved day one. I'm meeting with somebody next week who says I have property in Mineola right near the train station. I see all these other people building some massive multifamily things around me. I don't know where to begin, but I know KULKA. Can you meet with me and help me through this? And we're gonna help him with everything.
That's dope.
IDA, putting together the design team, everything that he's going to need. We're gonna help him with that.
That's dope.
And so get us involved day one. And another reason too is, you got to work towards a budget. And typically, we have a better understanding of the cost of construction over the architect. The architect's going to put together the Taj Mahal because he's putting his name on it and he wants to build something great. And I want to build something great too, but it has to be economical and it has to work for the project. So get us involved with the architect, with the engineers. We will do cost analysis through the process. We will value engineer things and make suggestions so that when you're out there trying to get your 5 proposals and all 5 of them come in over budget, you're not like, holy shit, I just wasted a year and all of these prices I'm getting back make the project unfeasible.
Yeah. No, that's really interesting. And also, I mean, you've been building for so long that you know what holds up well, right? So it's not like, you might save money on the front end, but if your maintenance costs are through the roof or you have to replace things like every 5 years or 10 years or whatever, it might have been better just to spend more money up front because prices aren't going down.
Of course.
Do you, because I mean, you've been very helpful for me with a bunch of projects where I've been looking at where I'm like, all right, does this make sense or not? But I think, like, so obviously I go to school, I go to NYU, right, for I'm getting my master's there, and there's a lot of kids who like want to develop, and they're like financial wizards, but I think a big hang up for a lot of investors at this level is, or even in the flipping level, is I don't understand the construction. I don't know how much it costs to do this shit. And that was my hang up at the beginning too. I had a mentor who kind of like threw a quick and dirty together to me. And as soon as he did that, I bought a house the next week and I've been running ever since. But on the development level, like on the stuff that you do, your first deal could literally be your last. So I think it's important for people to reach out and say, how do you help me? I'm willing to pay for consulting service, whatever it is.
Get us involved, and we love to teach our clients and to work with them. Our construction management method, everything is open book. So they can learn as much as they want or as little as they want. One of my father's proudest things is that he used to build all of Lalazarian's projects. And Lalazarian is an incredible developer on Long Island. And they got to a point where they learned so much from KULKA that now they're doing it on their own and they don't need us. And we're not mad about that. No. We freaking love that shit.
Yeah, no, I put out a video last week where I'm like, you have to train your employees to leave you. Like that's okay, because there's still so much stuff. Do you do? I'm sure you work with them in some capacity, regardless, even past that point, because it gets to a point where like there's just too much shit. Like it's too big, or there's just too much going on. Like I have a bunch of development deals. I have a staff. We have a decent knowledge of construction, nowhere near what you have on your level. But like, there's things that I'm working on where I'm like, I'm gonna call Devin and be like, bro, I think you should run with this because it's just too freaking big. When you start building 60,000, 80,000, 100,000, and you're talking about IDA and all kinds of like rezoning and shit, like it gets heavy. It's a lot of work.
We, a few years ago, were working on a deal with huge developer. They own a ton of single family communities. And they were going to do a superstructure, 7-story superstructure connected by a garage. And they said, we built these single-family communities, 100, 200 units.
Not the same.
But we don't know what we're doing here.
Exactly.
And we're going to hire you. And they brought us in, and we worked together on it. And they ended up selling the project. But, there's no shame in saying I don't know something and going
nobody
out.
Does. Especially the stuff you guys like. It's so I took a construction management materials and methods last semester, and bro, like we basically went through building a skyscraper from the first stage to the last stage. It is crazy shit.
It is crazy shit.
Really time consuming with insane amount of moving pieces. I mean, it's nuts.
And then add the aspect that nothing goes as planned.
Ever. Or on budget.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, it's not a joke. Development at this level is crazy.
It's time consuming. It takes experience. And it's not an easy thing.
So I want to get into like, so you were, as if construction wasn't enough, you're like, I have all these other dreams and aspirations and things I want to do. So, I mean, you're getting into the co-working space, which is something I've been really interested in. I've been doing some research about it, looking at demographics, and I'm like, all right, but I haven't seen a model that I felt was truly profitable. Like, WeWork is still up in the air. Like, nobody can peek behind the curtain and be like, yo, is WeWork really making money? Like, tell us about whatever you can about, what you're doing in that space and your experience and what you hope it turns into.
So everybody always says that. The WeWork, they're not making money. What are they doing?
Or nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
But
SoftBank, who I think are probably pretty smart and probably have some very strict underwriting, keeps giving them billions of dollars. Billions and billions of dollars. And forever, for the longest time, Amazon wasn't showing a profit. And Amazon was their books looked like what they did, and they were just reinvesting and trying to take over the world. I believe that WeWork is just trying to become the largest real estate company, both tenant and owned, in the world.
In the world.
Yeah. In the world. And they're just going to continue to take in their cash flow and reinvest it everywhere they can. We're not doing a WeWork. We're doing something different. I don't think I know that our product is just as good, if not better than WeWork. WeWork's very, very young and hip and cool, and you could ride your skateboard through the office or bring your dog, and everything is glass, and it's great. They have a model that works.
But that's also for a different demographic and area.
That's a different demographic, and ours works. We're purchasing a franchise. That franchise is owned by a very proven company that owns 7 other brands, and we're excited about it. things are going to be good. We're going to be their Long Island partner. They can't work with anybody else on Long Island.
Are you gonna be the franchise holder, meaning you can like sell other locations, or you're just gonna have the right to develop whatever locations you want?
We're going to have the right to develop on Long Island and the right of first refusal in Queens and Brooklyn.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Have you done a lot of boroughs development?
We have done it. Long Island falls in our lap all the time, so we're so engulfed in Long Island. But we've done some work in Long Island.
Totally different animal working in the boroughs?
Totally different animal.
Prices through the goddamn roof?
Different beast, different everything, prices. Just like when you put it together a budget, you have to take into account everything. That's your parking tickets. Exactly. Like it's wild. It's wild.
But paying off the elevator guy so your garbage gets down.
You know your shit.
Bro, it's like it's
fucking wild.
People are like, oh, you do stuff in the boroughs. I'm like, you know what, man? Like, I was trying to do some stuff in East New York, Brooklyn, and I was there, and I was hanging out with this Hasidic guy who pulled a contract out of his pocket and had some guy sign it on the street. And I'm like, you know what? I just don't think this is for me. I'm like, let me go back to Long Island. I'm going to do business like a gentleman. There's a shit ton of money to be made there. I can hang out there. The city is crazy. And I don't even know if the returns are really there, man. Like, the first thing I said when I got to school, every professor, and it took probably 3 semesters until I got a real answer. I'm like, what am I missing? They're like, what do you mean? I'm like, guys are buying shit off of like 2 caps and 1 caps and 3 caps. I'm like, where's the money? Where's the money? And then I learned about IRR, right? And just what they thought was going to be appreciation. And I was like, okay, I'm not missing something. The IRR thing was like a game changer for me. You know, IRR and IRR was a game changer for me. I'm like, oh, that's freaking dope. Okay, I'm not making any money, but my equity's here, my principal pay down, and I make 35% over 7 years or 10 years or 5 years. Bang, huge eye opener. But the future appreciation stuff, and then there's just some guys that have a shit ton of money and they need to put it somewhere.
There's tons of those people.
Which is nuts.
If their money sits in their bank account, it's lost for them. It's lost revenue in their eyes. They need to put it somewhere. But I see a lot of people moving out of the city and Manhattan in particular. I think Long Island City is obviously boomed. Like you can't even say it's the future. It's here, and there's now other things that are the future. Jersey City. I was in a luncheon yesterday with top developers in the world, and one of the guys said that he feels that Jersey City is the number 1 spot for multifamily in the entire country. And I know there's a lot of people that love
rentals?
Jersey City. Yes,
like mixed use development.
Rentals and you know, condos, and it's just incredible what's happening over there. But people are moving out of the city. It's difficult to work there.
Can't live there, dude. Workforce housing is $1 million to $3 million freaking little box that's as big as my office.
Yep.
It's nuts. But it's an exciting time. Like I always say to you, we were texting the other day, and I'm like, bro, like we're the future. Like there's no, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't see any 30 to 45-year-old developers out there. Like you're in that, so maybe you see them. I don't, because I'm in like my own little world. Do you see them?
Rarely. I think you and I are a rare breed. There's some others on Long Island that you know, are futures to the throne as well, that have it, and I know that, and they're gonna do tremendous when they take over full control. And then there's some you know, people that are hustling right now that will get there. I don't ever fall asleep, so like I know that there's somebody I don't know
chasing you,
that's chasing me.
Hell yeah.
So we grind. You and I are special, but there's other special people out there for sure.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, I know you're locked into that, which is why I'm curious. Like I ask everybody, I'm like, because I just feel like, but percentage wise, I feel that there's a lot of 55 to 80-year-old developers.
Of course.
So is the percentage of young developers much, much less?
Yes.
Okay. That's what I was curious to know that. So when the older generation really starts to retire, we're going to have a huge opportunity because there's just going to be less people. And Long Island right now is ripe for revitalization. It's just everything is changing about it.
Yes.
Redevelopment. everything.
No, we've got a golden goose here
Yeah,
on
man.
Long Island. We need to take advantage of it, and there'll be more in the mix. There always are. There's definitely people that are going to be there with us, and the percentages might even out to what they are today in age group when we're that age. But no, we definitely have something special here on the island. Love this place.
I'm looking forward to the ride, man. I want to close out with I just want to know about how you see the future. Like, you're super young, you're 30 years old. What's the next 20, 30 years of KULKA look like, of Devin KULKA's life look like?
So I tell people that I don't really work for money. I work for freedom. The freedom to do whatever I want, whenever I want, whether that's giving back to the community, whether that's helping family members that are sick and need money for, treatments, or just picking up and going to Hawaii for 2 months because I can. So that's what I work for. I work for that freedom to do whatever I want whenever I want. For me, on a personal level, I definitely got to mention my girlfriend. We talk about her a lot. We've been together 6 years. I couldn't do this without her. Before we dated, she was my best friend for 10. So we're like...
But you secretly wanted to sleep with her the entire time. Be honest about that.
No.
Guys and girls are never friends, bro.
I swear to God, man. I swear to God.
Then she was trying to hit it. Somebody was trying to hit it.
No, we didn't look at each other that way. She used to tell me about her life, and I used to tell about my life, and it was cool. Like, we would sleep in the same bed with different blankets, and like...
No stiffy. You
stiffy.
never woke up with a stiffy.
Never.
And then what happened one day? One day you woke up with a stiffy, and you were like, all right, maybe there's something here?
I had went through
This is awesome.
I had went through a tough period of my life. I came home. She kind of helped save my life.
Wow.
And she was sleeping there one day, and I was looking at her like, this girl really loves me. I obviously love her. And then, a few weeks later, we hooked up, and
I was so waiting for you to be like, she was sleeping there, and I just went in there like a savage caveman and took it. And that was it.
But
I'm such a dirty old Jew.
I'm excited. I'm
Terrible.
It's okay.
It's gonna get so much worse, man. As I get older.
Yeah,
Shit.
definitely. You're in trouble.
That's right.
But no, I'm excited for my future with her, growing a family. I see kids in the next 5 years. Marriage, not too far off.
Dude, be careful. This is gonna live in internet world forever.
It's fine. I have no shame in it. I love this girl.
That's dope.
She's amazing, and I couldn't do this without her. Like, she says, go out, conquer the world. I will always love you. I will always be there, support you. And you need that, I think.
You have to, bro.
It's important.
It's really hard. Like, I've been blessed to have an unbelievable support system. You need that, because there are times, regardless of how strong-minded you are, there are times when you're like, fuck, and you need someone to like hold your head in their hands and be like, yo, I freaking believe in you. Now go back out there and fucking kick ass.
And go do it.
So,
a KULKA, larger scheme.
Okay.
The vision. So obviously KULKA Construction is what we were. I want to be that full service real estate company. So when I like to say I want to be a hybrid of RXR, Gilbane, and JLL. RXR, top developer in the region, just incredible what they're doing. Went from Long Island, now focusing a lot in the city.
Yeah.
Utmost respect for them. Gilbane, massive construction company, loves their employees, spends a ton of resources and time training their employees, bettering their employees, and like, the Gilbane is that dream job for a lot of people in the construction industry. So that's the Gilbane part. And JLL, they handle the brokerage side, they handle the development side, they handle just conceptuals, and you have a property and you're going to go to jail to find out what you can do and how you can do it. They kind of have their hands in everything in real estate. So that's the hybrid that I'm looking for. How quickly I'm going to get there, we'll see. Rome isn't built overnight. KULKA world, and that will happen. KULKA world will happen. It's not going to be built overnight. It's going to take...
But the ride is where it's at, bro. The ride is where it's at, man. I think that's like, you touched on something huge before, which is people that are super successful, they love what they do, and they don't do it for Ferraris and Ace of Spades Rosé and fucking, Gucci. No. They do it because, like, they're just hardwired to play the game.
It takes everything. It takes...
everything.
All of your effort, all of your emotions, all of your time. You gotta want it. It's And
you need people in your life that understand you and support that. Because, like, I have an amazing girlfriend myself. Like, there are times I don't come home. Like, there are some weeks where I don't see her conscious. Like, when I come in, she's unconscious. And if you don't have somebody that gets that and is willing to, like, let you be you, it becomes very difficult.
She gets that. At first, I don't think she did, but, she understands it, she supports it, and I told her, like, I'm not a simple person, we're not going to have a simple life, I'm not going to be home all the time, but I promise you I'll be a great husband, and I promise you I'll be a great father, and I promise you I'll always provide. And she's the type, too, that's going to work until the day she dies, and I respect the shit out of that, because, I'm hoping that she won't have to, but she's a worker. She gets it, and she's my rock. Danielle, I love that girl.
Fuck. Dude, you're the fucking man. If people want to get a hold of you, they got a big construction project, they want to follow you on social media, how do they get a hold of you? How do they find you? If they want to partner with you, invest with you, the sky's the limit.
My cell phone is open to everybody, 631-848-8777. Check us out on thekulkagroup.com. Love to meet everybody. Just sit down, shoot the shit. People want to do business with people they like, so let's become friends and let's do business.
That's what's up, man. And if you want to do business with the captain, if you need permits, 516-513-8838. If you have a piece of land, commercial property, house that smells like cat pee with human waste running past the basement steps, you name it, I want to buy it. 516-777-SOLD. That's a wrap.
Orgulloso estoy de mi herencia judía.